Hey sewing fam, what's up? Welcome back to another week and another sewing block. Today I'm actually going to be teaching you how to make a super simple skirt without a pattern. And we could probably have it done, I'm guessing, in about 15 minutes. So stick with me, I'm going to show you all the tips and tricks. Okay guys, so the first thing you're going to want to do is measure yourself. What you're going to need for this skirt pattern or this skirt, you're going to want to measure your waist, measure your hips, and the length that you would like the skirt. The skirt that we're sewing today is more of a straighter style skirt. So you're going to want to use some sort of a more structured knit fabric for it. I'm partial to cotton spandex knit. I use it for everything. For this particular skirt that we're making though, because of the straight style, if you use a cotton spandex or a cotton jersey, it's gonna be a little thinner and that's fine, but I'm just warning you, it's going to cling a little bit and you may not want that. So a structured knit would be more like a French terry knit, something a little heavier. Even maybe a ponte knit, that's going to give you a little bit more structure. And it's just generally going to look better with the straighter style skirt that we're going to be working with today. Okay, so once you go ahead and get those measurements, your waist, your hips, and your length, come back here and let's cut our fabric. Okay guys, so you can see that I've cut my fabric here. I cut 2 pieces. So when I cut it, what I did was I measured my waist, I measured my hips, and I measured my length. So I cut 2 pieces of essentially just square pieces of fabric in the width of my hips. So let's say for the sake of this video, my hips are 38 inches. So I actually cut one piece 20 inches and the second piece also 20 inches in width. That's going to give me enough room for my 3/4 inch seam allowance on both sides, because I'm going to have a seam allowance on this side and then I'm going to have a seam allowance also on this side. So I have 3/4 inches on both sides, and that gives me a little bit of wiggle room just in case something would go wrong. So 38-inch hips, I cut one piece at 20 inches across, the other piece at 20 inches across. And then my length, I cut at 25 inches. I'm 5'2", so 25 inches is going to hit me just below the knee. Okay, so now that I have both of my square pieces of fabric worked out, don't worry, we'll talk about the waist in just a minute. I'm gonna go ahead and get these ready to sew up the side seams. And you're also going to need elastic for this project. I would recommend a 1-inch elastic. I don't have 1 inch on hand, so I'm using 3/4 inch. But ideally for a skirt like this, for an adult skirt, you want to use about a 1-inch elastic. If you don't have that on hand, you can definitely improvise with 1 1/4, 1.5, 3/4, whatever you have on hand is fine. All right, so we have our fabric cut. Now I'm going to go ahead and sew up the side seams. So what you want to do is take your 2 cut triangles or squares, whatever you cut out, and we're going to put them right sides together, which means you're going to take the side with the print or whatever, the right sides, you're going to put those together facing each other so that we have the back of the fabric on both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and use a serger to serge this up. If you don't have a serger, a sewing machine works just fine. Just want to use a straight stitch down both side seams, and I'd say at probably about a 3-inch or a 3.5 length on your straight stitch, but that will work just fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and get the side seams sewn up. Okay, we've got our side seams all sewn. So you can see I think you can see there. Side seams are all sewn. And now all we need to do is add elastic for the waist, and then we're gonna hem, and then you'll be done. So next up is going to be our elastic. Okay, so next is going to be our elastic. I'm actually gonna make a casing in the skirt for it. I think that's gonna be the easiest way for you. I would recommend using like 1 inch elastic. I don't have 1 inch on hand, so I'm using 3/4, which will work fine. 1.5, whatever you have on hand will work just fine. I always like to give my elastic just a little tiny stretch before I go ahead and sew it into my skirt. For your elastic, you're going to want to remember your waist measurement. And a good rule of thumb is to always cut your elastic about 4 or 5 inches less than your waist measurement. So my waist measurement is 30. I'm going to cut my elastic at 24, 25, 26, somewhere around there, depending on how much stretch you want to have in your waistband. I don't really like to use elastic, so I prefer a nice, easy elastic waist. So I'm actually going to cut mine only 4 inches. So I'm going to cut my elastic at 26 inches. All right, so let's go ahead and make our skirt casing, and then we'll get this elastic sewn right in. Okay, so we're making a simple elastic casing here. So we're going to take what will be the waist of our skirt, and we're just going to fold it over. To case a 3/4 inch elastic, I'm actually going to give myself a 1 inch casing here. So I'm going to fold my tops down all around the skirt, and I'm going to take a ruler or a hem guide, and I'm just going to measure 1 inch, and then I'm going to hit the whole thing with an iron just so that it's creased. When I'm sewing, it'll make it a whole lot easier because it won't move. So I'm going to go ahead and measure 1 inch all the way around and iron my waistband, and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, we're all done ironing the casing for my waistband. So now I'm going to go ahead and stitch the waistband at the very bottom here. And again, you'll want to use, if you're using a regular sewing machine, just use a straight stitch at about 3.5 stitch length. That should work great. All right, so let's go ahead and get our waistband all stitched up. Okay, so as we're stitching the waistband, I'm actually using a cover stitch, but again, straight stitch on your sewing machine will work just fine. I'm going to stitch all the way around, but I'm going to leave about a 1 inch gap at the end of the stitching because you want to have room to insert your elastic. So go ahead and stitch all the way around, but make sure at the end of your stitching that you leave about a 1 inch gap for that elastic to go through. Okay guys, so you can see the elastic casing is all sewn up. And I did leave about a 2 inch gap at the end of my sewing right here, and that's where we're going to enter the elastic. So let's go ahead and get our elastic ready to put it in our waistband. Okay, the easiest way for me to do elastic, and this should hopefully help some of you, is take the elastic end, and I just take a basic safety pin and put it through the end of your elastic. That's going to actually help you feed it through your waistband. So now we have the pin on there. Let's go ahead and feed our elastic right through our waistband. Okay, right here's our gap. So we're actually just going to take our elastic here and we're going to feed it right through our waistband. Just going to feed it all the way around until you come back to this gap again. So take it all the way around your waistband until you come back to this beginning point. Okay, the elastic is all threaded through. I have both ends. At the end here, we're going to go ahead and take the safety pin out. We're going to overlap our elastic about a 1/2 inch, and then we're going to take a zigzag stitch on our sewing machine, and we're just going to sew the elastic ends together. All right, we got our elastic all sewn together on the ends, so now we're going to go ahead and get that tucked into our waistband, and then you can use your sewing machine, and we're just going to close up the gap that we left open. Okay, and that'll complete our waistband. Okay, now that we have the elastic waistband completely finished, we're going to go ahead and move on to hemming our skirt. Our hem is going to be done in the exact same manner that we did the elastic casing. All right, so let's go ahead and work on our hem. Okay guys, this is the bottom of the skirt. Now I'm going to fold this over in the exact same fashion as we did for the waistband. I prefer about a 3/4 inch hem, but you can make your hem obviously as long as you want. We're just going to fold it over all the way around our skirt, and I'm going to go ahead and iron this. Okay? Okay, as I'm hemming my skirt, I'm realizing my fabric is curling up a little bit. If you have the same issue, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, and then I'm going to show you my secret weapon. So here's what I'm talking about. Here's what my fabric looks like right now. So you see how it's kind of curling right here and doesn't want to stay down. And I'm ironing it, and yes, that creases it right here, but it's not really helping this to stay down. So I'm going to hit this with my secret weapon, which is, it's an Elmer's glue stick. Yep, just a plain old Elmer's glue stick. But guys, I swear by this, it works so well. If you put this on your hem, like near the fold, it will help your fabric stay down, but it will not gum up your needles because your needles are going to be hitting the edge of your fabric, but you're putting this like near the fold of your fabric, so it's not going to do any damage to your needles, or it shouldn't. It never has for me. I have been using it for years. It is my secret weapon. This is how I get things to stay in place when I sew them. So if you are having the same issue with your fabric as I am, try a glue stick. I promise you won't be sorry. So if you're going to use a glue stick, you want to take the glue and you're going to put it way up here near the fold. That way, when you're sewing along the edge of your fabric here, you're not going to get any glue in your needles, so it's not going to gum up your needles. And the best thing is this is washable glue. So the first time you wash your skirt, it'll wash the glue right out, but it'll only be there to help you keep things in place as you're sewing. It's totally a win-win. All right, we have the hem all folded down and I've ironed it, and I do have some glue underneath, like right along here, to help keep it in place as I sew it. So now we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew our hem. And the hem is sewn. We're going to pull our skirt off of our sewing machine and see what we have. And now comes the time where you get to sit back and you admire the work that you did. So here's our nice waistband, perfect amount of stretch. And then the rest of the skirt. Guys, it looks amazing. Stay tuned. I'll show you a fit check. Once the skirt is finished, we always have to do a fit check. Here's our fit check. What do we think, guys? It's pretty much a perfect fit. All right, that's how we sew a straight skirt. Usually takes about 15 minutes for me from cut to finish. It's just a few steps. But let me know in the comments, how long did it take you guys? Did you all find this video helpful? And I'm not sure if you can put pictures in the comments, but if you have pictures and you want to send them to me, I'd love to see them and see what you all made today. And if there's anything else that you would like to see, another video that you would like to see, also let me know that in the comments, and I'll do my best to see what I can do for those videos. So hope you all enjoyed the video today. Hope you guys all found it helpful. Until next time, happy sewing!